3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 35. And first of all, a big happy new year to all of our lovely listeners.
And welcome to 2020.
2020, exactly. Almost a 1 year anniversary from our from the birth of the podcast.
The excruciating birth of the podcast. There you are. So God love you if you're still listening from a whole year. So nearly. Well, when do we actually have a
19th of January?
19th of January.
First one. So.
Bloody hell! I'm glad you're all keeping track. My words are not working at all today. So.
Well, we've got a cracking interview coming up with James Hillier, and we've also got a little club racing update with our club racing correspondent Zoe Byrne at the end of this podcast. We'll get on to a little bit about what we've been up to recently, Christmas and stuff. But first of all, we've actually got 3 sponsors for this podcast. So big thanks, first of all, to Incontango Training.
Oh, God, love them again.
A leading risk, finance and treasury consultancy. And you can check out the website, www.incontangotraining.co.uk. And we're looking forward to, I think that John's doing quite a bit of sponsorship this year. Obviously, we had the Janice from the People's Bikes and a little bit more involved with the racing. So we're looking forward to seeing what develops in the 2020 season. But yeah, check out the Twitters at Incontango Train and website www.incontangotraining.co.uk. Our second sponsor,
number 2,
is, can you remember KRG Motorcycles? I think.
From concert there. I think
they
suspension
were our first sponsor
Shut
on
up,
this. I'm pretty sure they were our first sponsor on the show. So
he's obviously raking in the cheddar because he keeps sponsoring this bloody podcast. Good lad.
KRG Motorcycles, based in Concert, County Durham, just up the road from where me and Dom live. That offer all aspects of motorcycle servicing and repair, from superbike and race builds to your everyday commuter. We specialise in suspension building and are the biggest authorised K-Tech dealer in the northeast for road and race. We offer pick-up and delivery from your home or workplace throughout the northeast. So for a reliable, friendly and professional service, search KRG Motorcycles on Facebook and check out the 5-star reviews.
Only leave 5-star reviews. That is the motto of this show, isn't it?
We're doing well.
Be that.
I don't know if you've checked recently, but we're doing well on our iTunes reviews.
I gave up some bell and left a 1, and I went, I'm not looking at this anymore. I can't take disappointment, Chrissy. Can't take disappointment.
We're averaging out.
I suppose
at 5
Kyle
star.
Gowland from KRG Suspension.
We're averaging out at 5-star. That's the main thing. And finally, so our third sponsor for this podcast. This episode is sponsored by Vehicle Dome, the definitive indoor vehicle cover. Vehicle Dome's continuous flow of filtered air safeguards your pride and joy in a controlled climate during storage. Check out their website www.vehicledome.co.uk, and they're also on Twitter at VehicleDome. Now you're going to find out a bit more about what they provide when we're interviewing James Hillier,
because he's one of the main spokesmen for the product, isn't he?
Yes, I'm not sure exactly what his involvement is, but he's definitely involved with Vehicle Dome, and I think as a brand ambassador or something. But
he definitely believes in the product, as you'll be able to hear in the interview. And more importantly, when you look at the website, you'll see a very expensive car with a James Hillier sticker on it.
It's a trick. What is that car?
I have no idea.
Like
but if that's James Hillier, they're paying him too much. OMG are going to be raking it in, aren't they?
Yes. Well, in fact, we've just been on the website checking it out, and it's basically like like a bubble that goes around your car or your bike.
It just keeps the damp away from everything.
Exactly. So if you've got an expensive, nice either bike or car that you want, like say if you put it away for the winter and you want to keep it as pristine as possible, then I think this is the best solution for that, isn't it?
Well, I went to see one up close, and it's like got an all-round zip. It's a piece of piss to put up. It's got like a tiny little fan that's constantly putting fresh air in, and it doesn't let the damp in. So you can imagine it just takes a couple of seconds to go, inflate, and it drains no battery. You can run it off a battery, and you can run it off the main, so it's a constant continuous. It's not loud, it's not cluttery, and it's proper tidy. Really is tidy, and it's you can even put your wife in it, put your your dodgy tax. If you're into drugs, put your drugs in it. By the way, if James Hillier's listening to this, he'd be like, "Is he honestly just saying put your drugs in it?" But no, we don't condone drugs on this. But if you're into that, go buy a Vehicle Dome. It'll definitely help.
VehicleDome.co.uk. So yeah, check it out. And like I said, we've got Hillier coming up. Great interview. It's quite a long one, so we'll keep the intro quite short and sweet.
And I was about to say we're going to have to it's obviously with Zoe on as well, we're going to have to keep this one quite squeezed. So obviously next week we'll get another one jammed in, and we'll fill you in fully on what the crack is about what we've been up to and everything, and obviously with what's going on, such like with Hickman and
first of all, I just wanted to say December was by far our biggest month on the podcast. We had over 11,000 downloads, and really, going from strength to strength. So thanks to everyone that's sharing the road.
Jamming it down their throats, and that's how you build a podcast, kids.
Did we have 3 or 4 podcasts out in December, something like that? So
something like that. So it's
getting
obviously
some good traction.
Keeping the crack flowing, Christopher.
That's
Keeping
the one.
Crack flowing.
Now, we've got a Wayne. Obviously, we're talking about our January weight loss challenge. 100 quid that the loser has to pay to the charity. And obviously, we ran the charity on the Twitter page. Did you see the results? It was very close.
I didn't actually see the outright result. What was that then?
So I haven't got the numbers with us right now, but I remember it being extremely close. But the Injured Riders Welfare Fund was the one that won it. I think it was like 30. What was it, like 37% to 35% or something like that. But that we're going to donate £100 to the Injured Riders Welfare Trust, and obviously we're going to publish our weight losses. And if anyone's listening and wants to join in,
by the way,
with
he's sitting across from me very smug because he's already at it, and I'm just sitting here. I'm literally your fat mate, aren't I, Chrissy? Well, it's disgusting.
I've got my tactics. I've got my tactics sorted for my weight loss, and I tell you what, I'll save it for this episode. I'll speak more on it next episode and keep you updated on how it's going.
I'm going to be 3 stone lighter next week, man. So you better hurry up.
But so we've both weighed in today. I was 73.2 kilograms. What were you again, Dom?
Well, hold on. I keep forgetting what
I've got
weight is kilograms.
You
go, get your phone out. I'll tell you what it is in stone.
Right.
Well, basically, it was teetering between 12, 13 and literally bang on 13 stone.
Yeah.
13, Clem.
So you were 82.7 kilograms, and it's a fraction under 13 stone. So
it's disgusting.
And then I was 73.2 kilograms, which I think works out at just over 11 and a half. So
I spent New Year in Northern Ireland drinking 3 bottles of wine on New Year's Eve, so I think I overindulged slightly too much.
That sort of plays into the advantage, doesn't it? Because it's more to lose. So
we'll find out about that. But no, I didn't go out on the piss. It's cheaper to buy £3 bottles of Aldi wine and just get wrecked.
Right, well,
I'll say, hold on, before you get going, I've got a great idea. Thanks to our main sponsor, I'm going to live in Vehicle Dome for 3 weeks. I'm going to get it sealed, right? I'm going to get your mother there to lock us in it, and for 3 weeks I'm just going to live in a Vehicle Dome, but it's fresh air and I won't get damp, and I'll be laughing.
That's it. So like I say, we'll keep this short and sweet, get straight onto the Hillier interview. And have you got anything any crack over the Christmas New Year?
I've done absolutely loads, mate, but like we say, we're going to have to compress this one and we'll get it jammed in next week. But there's loads to go on. We've got loads of crack with what's happening within racing. But the good thing about this sport, we always regurgitate some sort of crack out of it. Even though it's January and you feel like nothing's going on, we'll always find something. We'll dig around, we'll scoot round the rumour mill, and if not, we'll make up something ourselves, Christopher. So that's how it is. Hey, do you like me saying that or not? It's Chrissy. It's Chrissy Rouse, not Christopher. Sorry, obviously your dear mother there is just giving us a cup of coffee, and I'm feeling all polite here, speaking like the Queen, almost like Tom Ward. So anyway, Chrissy, right? Let's move on. We'd like to introduce officially our guest for the evening.
So we've got TT winner. Yeah, he won the Super Twin?
Super Twin race, and also our Northwest 200 winner.
Fantastic race, yeah, Northwest 200 race, and all round nice guy. He was the co-star to the Religion of Sport Netflix documentary with your good self, Dom. And have you got anything else to add to the list?
He's a lovely, lovely man. There we are. That's all I need to say.
For a while, so
it's true. He's a genuine. He's a proper genuine. So let's crack on with it, sunshine.
Here you are with James Hillier. So joined by TT and Northwest 200 winner James Hillier. How are you doing, son?
Good. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
All good, thanks. All good. We're just getting over the Christmas and the New Year period, and this is our first podcast for the 2020 season, if you can call it. So thanks for joining us on the podcast. We're both very grateful, and obviously you've been in the news quite a lot recently with a sort of a big move from the Kawasaki team, which you've been with for a good number of years, over to join the OMG squad for your assault on the roads championships for this season. Obviously, you must be really excited about the season ahead and on changing teams and manufacturers. How talk us through that.
Well, I'm excited, but a little anxious, I guess, because all the years gone by, the last is 10 years really with the Bournemouth Kawasaki team. I sort of knew where I stood, whereas this is a clean sheet. So we've got new bikes and we've got some mechanics staying over, but there's still a few spots to fill for the roads, for some mechanics there. So just trying to keep a few things familiar. I'll be staying again with Metzler tyres, and it's quite exciting in that fact that it's all new, but also I just there's a lot of work to do in terms of learning and evolving things. I've always gone back with pretty much the same bike and the same team, and we've hit the ground running, whereas we've got quite a bit to achieve before we get to TT this year.
Have you got plenty of testing in for the new bikes?
Yes, yeah. So I think at the moment on paper we've got about 9 days in February and March, early March, on track, which are sort of obviously get me up to speed and learn the bikes and how they work, but obviously helps get me up to speed a little bit. But the big thing with sort of, you could do millions of laps in Spain and you do 20 seconds down Bray Hill and the thing's shaking its head, so and scaring the death out of you. So it's always hard to gauge and get a great setup on any short circuit to take to TT. But if we can learn and establish how the bike reacts to how I like and what ways to go with things, then it just gives us options and prevents making the wrong adjustments at TT and so on. There's a lot to it, and there's so much to sort of learn. But I'm quite sort of reignited the fire a little bit, because I'm feeling quite motivated to get stuck in and get the ball rolling with it all.
And hold on, hello, James. It's Dominic here. And may I just say, speaking of feelings, are you feeling all right? You sound like you're being deep throating Barry White for 20 minutes. You sound a bit. What's the matter with you? Your voice. I've got my pants around my ankles right now, James. This is turning quite erotic for me. Chrissy's nearly crying with fear. It's stop crying, Chrissy. It's just a man's penis. Stop it. So what's the matter with you? You haven't quite got over Christmas, have you? You sound a bit throaty, young man.
Well, yeah, no, I think too many cigarettes and.
The party lifestyle at James here. No wonder no one sees him.
No,
he's out.
No, I don't. It's just a real although my wife doesn't believe me, it's a real harsh strain of man flu that I'm trying to convince myself isn't actually happening, but it is. I'm just sort of fighting through, as every man has to.
That's a real thing. OMG, aware of your man flu, because you might not make it out the other side. It's a serious thing. And women don't understand how easy you've got it. Now, to all our female listeners, right, this is from James Hillier, a genuine product article of motorcycling world level, and he's whinging about man flu. So all you females out there, I'm not whinging. No man whinges. It's part of man flu, James. No, we just tell everyone about it.
Go on.
I'm past the worst of it now, I think. So.
Oh, God, thank God, he's got a ride next year.
Yeah.
Other than a bit of pre-season testing and presumably the Northwest and the TT, what else have you got planned for the racing campaign for 2020?
Goodwood. I'm back at Goodwood members meeting on a TZ 350. Went last year on a Norton, and that didn't go so well. I think I did about 5 laps in total until. As a lot of old bikes do, they break and.
Hold on, Goodwood. Hold on. Goodwood, when you were leading by, like you were about to take the lead, and you cartwheeled her.
No, that was another. That was same track. Yeah, different event. Yeah. Yeah. So
James, he had a smile going past the pits, Chrissy. Big smile, you could see it through the visor. Next time round, he had a big gravel rash right up his arse, and some poor bloke footing the bill.
that was the worst bit. That's them old bikes don't always crash too well, but.
But no, are you doing any BSBs? Any?
Yes, yeah. So hopefully in BSB itself, or if not, then the stock, or potentially Super Sport, because obviously a changeover as well to the Yamaha from the Kawasaki. So I'm going to need to be turning some miles on the new Yamaha 600. So I'm just going to be riding at every opportunity I can, really, to be getting the miles in, and obviously just trying to keep out of trouble and not bash myself up before the big main races for me.
And like pretty much all the time that I've been involved with racing, you've been with Bournemouth Kawasaki. Is that where it all started for like your racing journey? And like, is it 10 years or so, around 10 years you've been involved with the Mick Exton squad?
Well, yeah. Well, God no, 10. I've raced for his team for 10 years, yeah, and but it was actually in around, I think, around 2004 at the end of the R6 Cup. My dad actually went into the dealership and said, "Look, my sons, we're going to try and do British Super Sport with," and that was with Gearlink at the time with Michael and Norma Dibidaf, and Pete sort of helped us out with a discount on some parts and things we needed for the cars, what were the new sort of ZX6 back then with the and things, the sort of relationship grew from there, really, with he lent me his trials bike, which he never got back because he got nicked, and a few other things.
Is it rough, that part of the world? Is this down there?
Well, it was that in that weekend it was, anyway, but a few things went missing, but it's a funny thing, really, with the whole we're still on good terms, and it was never a bad taste left. It's weird that you depart or separate when there's not really a problem, but for me it's more a case, and Pete, we've sat down and spoke about it, and Pete totally understands where I'm coming from, and it's more a case of me just needing to tick boxes off and be satisfied before I get too old and think what could have been, or what if, and it's a bit weird. It's a bit like splitting up with your missus, when there's nothing actually wrong, but it's, and he's then, I know he's got Sealy on for Northwest, and it's just a bit weird, how it's worked out and how it goes, because for me and Pete, it was more than just riding for a team. It was and it still is a true relationship, but it's not in any way homosexual relationship, but it's just,
hold on. Whoa. We didn't mention that, James. Now
no, but talking about relationships with men, and
right. Got something to hide here, James. You got something to hide. No one listens to this. Well, don't worry about it, and it's the 21st century. Everyone's got an open mind. If you had a relationship, totally fine, James. You're totally fine with that.
I don't know what my missus would say, but anyway, it's a bit bizarre, really, and but for me, the separation is just for me to, as I said, to tick a box, and I'm not saying that the reason, I can't win because I'm with that team. I do believe in what I've had, otherwise I would never have stayed there for that long, and as long as I did. But it's more of a satisfaction thing to try it and see, and that's the only way to find out, isn't it?
But the best thing about that, especially from my point of view, it's like everyone saw your loyalty with Bournemouth. Now, obviously, with your change, at no point has anyone turned around and gone, "Oh, what a disloyal twat," not on rep at all. No, honestly, mate, right? Because Chris is the intelligent one on this show, and he does all the homework. But me, I just see how it is, and there isn't anyone out there saying, "Oh, why has he done that? Why has he done this?" Everyone's very supportive of it, and I think it's a very positive move for you. I really do, because like you say, the Kawasaki's are hellish. Chrissy's got to say that he's riding for MSS, but no, I think this is a very positive move. It's a fresh canvas, and you have that zero pressure thing. Wherever way you turned, you've got a zero pressure scenario. Not many riders have that.
Yeah.
Let's put it blunt. If Dean Harrison went on a BM, there'd be pressure.
Yeah.
But you're a podium man, and the thing is, you're consistently a podium man throughout the last essentially 10 years, and that's the truth of it. And that's very rare of a rider to go, oh, mint, and you're still going to be on the podium. There's your only pressure. I've told everyone you're going to be on the podium, so pull your finger out, son.
I hope so. And I mean, it is a bit mad and I think people may wonder why I've gone with a new team, but I sat down with the OMG guys and went through a few things and explained obviously where my head was at and what I wanted, and they've sort of given me a blank canvas and said we'll support you in every way to give you what you need. And they for sure, you'd be a fool to go to TT with a brand new team and a load of sort of virgin TT mechanics. So that's the idea of bringing experienced guys across. We're going to be under a new banner, a new bike on the grid, but there's going to be some experienced heads there to do the job right. And we want to be certainly fighting for wins and podiums. And I totally believe we can. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made that decision to go there.
And
sorry, I'm going to interrupt quickly here because obviously it's a brand new team. Now, I don't care if you've got the biggest budget in the world, you're gonna find teething problems, and you're fully aware of that. So is it fair to say to all the James Hillier fans out there that this is not just a potentially 1 year project?
Well, probably deep down, I would say no. We haven't even discussed a 2 year thing, and for me, I think certainly with road racing, it's logical to kind of you establish quite a lot in year one and carry that on into year 2 or 3, wherever. But again, you can't really afford to change with TT only being once a year. You don't get much time, do you? Especially if the weather's not on side, then you're really up against it. So it would be logical to stay for a year after, but. My focus really at the moment is on this year and see what we can do. I might get on the bike and not like it. It might not click, and I can't believe I would do that because it looks like a pretty impressive piece of kit. But we'll see. It's not everyone sort of gels with every bike. It kind of people work differently with different machines, but I believe they are providing me with what I need to do what I want to do. So let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And I know just before in the conversation you mentioned about the R6 Cup like years ago. What was the route to the R6 Cup like? How did it all begin?
Well, it's funny really. And someone said to me, it was actually at TT. They were saying, "God, you're so lucky to be doing this." And I thought, do you know it? They don't. People think you just kind of wake up one day and get on a race bike and you're there, you made it. But it's taken so much work and from me and my family and people around me, but also sponsors over periods of time that have just kind of helped you get over those little stepping stones to progress up to the next stage. And really, it all started when I was young and we never had much money. I had a TY80 Trials bike, and I outgrew it. We never had the money to go up to the next size, and we were sort of stagnant really for a while with all I had was a pedal bike, which I used to race around on. And I grew up in a small village near Winchester, and I got friends with a local lad. He actually went to a different school. His name was Guy Farbrother, who we kind of grew up then together from about the age of 9 or 10, and that was our dream, was to race motorbikes professionally, world championship. And one thing led to another. Guy went on, and actually it started. I went to the Isle of Man with my dad and my sister. My parents had separated just previously, and that was our holiday with my dad for the year, was to the TT, and in '97, and it really planted a seed for me. I was just like in awe of these guys. It scared the absolute shit out of me, but also kind of planted that seed. I was just like, wow, I want to do this one day. And they had on the prom the mini motos for hire, and pestered my dad all week for a go, and in the end he broke, and I had a rip. And long story short, we ended up going into this mini motor racing, and eventually, you know, we were hiring bikes and managed to eventually buy one. And from the age of 14, I worked in a local, listen to this, a watercress factory of all places. Is probably one of the dullest factories you could work in. Watercress, cleaning and packaging the watercress. So at the weekends off from school and school holidays, I was working in there with a friend, and just to pay for the racing, really, and just blagged and bluffed my way through to a point where another friend had progressed from a 125 up to the 600, but he still had his Aprilia 125 in his garage, and I pestered his dad, and he lent me the Aprilia for one round at Snetterton, and Crutchlow was still in it that year. I think the Super Teen Challenge, which would have been 2001. And I think I finished 4th and 7th or something, and I've sort of been held back a little bit because the people and friends around me had progressed and had done the big bike racing, and I was kind of like a dog on a chain, you know. I just never had the opportunity or the money, and when I got it, I just really put everything into it. And that was that. So I borrowed that bike and did 2 rounds at the end of that season. The next year, my dad borrowed some money from the bank, and we bought some second-hand Aprilia 125s and did a full championship. The next year, my mum borrowed. It was the start of that Virgin Mobile car, which actually I would say really was an amazing kind of level field for people and guys on the way through to kind of show themselves, because it was a totally level platform of all the same bikes, you know. And
so is this like the equivalent of like a BSB support then at the time?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a big tent in the BSB paddock.
And am I right? Am I right in saying back then they used to have all the keys in a hat, and you used to just pick a key out, so you didn't have the same bike round to round?
You kept the same bike, but you picked them out at the start of the year, but you know, I think some people are just sort of a bit bitter if they were saying, you know, they were all near all their bloody the same speed, you know. But at the time it was three installments of $5,000 and for the year $15,000 to race at BSB, which was, it's a lot of money, but at that level it wasn't. It was quite, you know, it's a good way of going racing to be in that limelight, you know.
Like you say, you've gone from packing watercress to $15,000. You know what I mean? It's quite. I don't care who you are. That's a big jump in money, that, isn't it? So
yeah. So and we never had the money to do the whole season. We just we paid the first 5 to get to get in, you know, to get going, and then we never knew how we were going to pay the rest, and we just smashed it in the local papers. And I used to put my old school shoes and trousers on and dress up smart and go knocking around all the local industrial estates, just asking, really, you know, face to face. And I had these little leaflets printed out and begged and borrowed, you know, just to try and to keep the wheels turning, to stay on track. And it kind of that's when really Geerlink actually got involved. Michael and Norma at Geerlink, they saw something in the local paper, and they helped out with the R6 Cup, and it sort of just one thing led to another, and we ended up really being at the next thing. We were at British Super Sport Championship, and in the deep end, because, you know, that was a seriously strong class back then. Probably, I think 05, 06 was probably the strongest the British Super Sport's ever been, with the likes of Sykes and Perariba and Camia, Crutchlow. It was a serious depth of field there back then. So I'm not saying it's slow now; it's still fast. But back then it was, you know, there were some big names in it, and we were working out the back of a camper van, and just like, wow, what the hell are we doing here, you know? But it was good times, yeah.
So right, so you've gone over to the Isle of Man. I'm sorry, I'm backpedaling here. So you've gone over the Isle of Man, you've hopped on a mini moto, and then you've done this. No, but you see, when you've gone through this entire journey, right, was your aim of the game solely the Isle of Man? Or were you thinking at that point, thinking, let's go in the shorts, or what were you thinking? I
think it was, for me, it was always a box to tick, a bucket list thing for me to do the Isle of Man at some point, you know, because that year in '97 when I went to watch, it really sort of blew my mind, really. I think, as it does most people when they first see it for the first time, but I think some people, it either scares the death out of you, or, well, actually, I think it scares the death out of everybody, but either puts you off and think, oh, I can never do that, or it sort of flicks that little switch that says, says, I want to do that, So it certainly set the sort of cogs turning, and but for me, definitely, I didn't want to rush there, and I think it's important to kind of certainly get your crashing out the way, and there's so much to learn about motorbike racing before you go to the TT. It's that's one thing I would stand by, is kind of when you see younger guys going there, it's a little worrying in the fact that I've been there. You do feel quite invincible when you're young, and that's certainly not the racetrack to be riding around on if you've got that mentality.
Mm-hmm. So what year was it the first time you went to ride the Isle of Man?
To race there was 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, I rode round in 2007, the centenary year, and Kawasaki lent me a road bike, and I got caught speeding on the mountain, which wasn't the best of days, but I didn't go to jail, so I just got a big fine. Yeah. And then next year I was there racing. Yeah, so I was like 2 fingers up, like goes faster than one.
And was that alongside, were you still in British Supersport or was Superstar?
Yes. Yeah, I was doing British Supersport, and with Gearlink, sort of like a satellite team actually, I think, that year to Gearlink. My funds had sort of run out to race, and Michael and Norma helped me with a bike, and Pete at Bournemouth was helped me with parts and things. So it was a bit of but that year for sure, 2008 was the TT was then my main focus. All my efforts were going into learning the course and putting the effort in to learn it, and the TT went quite well actually that year, and I managed to get 2 silver replicas in the first year. We only did 600 race, which was good for me because I could just focus on that one bike, and I had no experience on 1000cc up until later that year. So it was definitely a good move just to go on the slower bike and take things in a bit steady, because the big bike, Dom, how quick them some sections come up to you on the 1000. It's pretty hairy.
And running up to the TT that year, did you do the Northwest 200 first, or was that your first go road racing?
Yeah, that was first ever road race was TT. Yeah.
And from then on, obviously you're regular at the Northwest and the TT. Am I right in saying that you've only done the Ulster Grand Prix just the once?
Yeah, that was that same year actually. I did that Ulster I did the Skerries, which scared the absolute shit out of me, because that was the first time I'd ever ridden a 1000cc was at the Skerries, which
it
sat me on an R1.
Good lad, baptism of fire there, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And them lanes, they're like footpaths. When you get on a big bike down there, it's just blew my mind a little bit, and I was like, thanks, but no thanks. So hats off to all them boys that do them week in, week out. It's not really my thing. I think I like the TT really because you're on your own. You've got 2 lanes to ride. You've got a bit wide, a bit more room to move around, and
you're flying down the M6 compared to bloody Skerries, man.
Totally that, yeah. So I that in 2008 I learned that the TT was for me, and I learned that the little national circuits weren't really my thing. So although I finished all the races and so on, went to the Ulster and it got rained off actually. So and then I never went back. I haven't been back since. So it's just I don't know. I just stick with what I know, and it sounds, I'll be honest about it, I think we all know road racing is dangerous, and the more you do something, the more chance there is of something going wrong. So I think if I just like to try and play my numbers right a little bit and play on the safer side, and I get my fix from TT, and now we get to do the classic TT, and that kind of keeps me going for the year. That's my fix.
So I think you went through a mental phase of going through Instagram and getting every elbow photo you could get your hands on. And I had no idea that you did the Macau Grand Prix either. So how many times did you do that?
4 years I did. I went there in 9, 10, 11, 12. 9, 10, yeah. And then I finished in 12. It was raining on the warm-up lap, and it was spitting down at the first section, which it never really normally rains then.
No.
So we come, and it's in the best of conditions. It's a sketchy track, but we come round and regrouped on the grid for the start of the race, and a number of us had our hands up, at least 6, say, and I see him just put his thumbs up, and the lights come on, and I was, you're mid pack, you can't sort of wheel the bike off the grid, then you're in, and I was like, holy shit, this is sort of just get me to the finish. I want to go home, and then I never went back. So again, it's sort of a box tick thing, and I've been there, done that, and I've had the hangover. And for me, everything is about TT. That's what motorbikes are made for, and I do that and twice a year, and then a bit of old classic bike stuff, and I like my enduro bike and trials bike, and then it's.
Can I just hold on? Sorry. Can I just say how refreshing it is? How, quite frankly, blind honest you are, because you get, thing is, you do, don't you? You get everyone with a corporate image, don't you? Going, oh well, this, and I'm this, I'm that, I'm Billy Big Balls, but like, you're just outrightly just going, I know what I want to do, and you're doing it, and you're not scared to tell everyone that, it's refreshing, mate. So
thanks. I don't see the point in, a lot of people convince themselves they need to, to do things that they probably don't really want to do, or what they are doing is the right thing to do. And, I think I'll probably say this as well, being a bit honest, but some people won't disagree, but there's a lot of riders that talk themselves out of doing TT, but deep down that they know they want to do it, but they talk themselves out of it. And I think, it's a little, it's as you know, Dominic, it's words can't really describe it, but when you are there and riding around there, that is the best place in the world to be on riding a motorbike, in my opinion.
And I mean, for a number of years, obviously, I've been familiar with the name James Hillier. Like, I know what you look like, and you see you at the start of the TT, going down number one the road, and like regularly being on the podium. But up until watching, do you know the Religion of Sport thing that you did with Dom? On Netflix? Up until then, I didn't really know that much about you, and I felt like I really learned quite a bit about you watching that show, and you both came across really well. The whole thing, I think the people that were filming it really captured something special, like the sort of the difference between doing it as a privateer and doing it professionally, and just getting the sort of excitement, encapsulating the excitement of the TT and what it's all about. How did that come about for yourself?
Well, I didn't actually know about it till we arrived on the island, and through a contact over there, they knew that there was someone looking to do the production, and I kind of thought it would be good to do it, because there's a few reasons really. I think a lot of people, they only see you when you're being interviewed on the, a lot of people who watch the TT on telly actually have never been to the TT, and they only see you being interviewed on the start line when you're shatting your pants and you're about to head down. So it's not really the true you, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of show a bit behind the scenes of where I'm at, and also in later years it's something the kids can watch and understand a bit more about what it was and where we were at. It's kind of like a bit of a free kind of photo album for the kids, when they're older, or I'm old and I can say, look what I used to do. It's one of them. But they definitely, they've done things before on the TT documentaries, and they always sort of often focus a little more towards the negative stuff, and I think they definitely captured more the passion and the hunger through that. It was really really well produced, and there was a few errors, I think, with like the bike classes and stuff like that, which
that was funny.
Yeah, so which nothing's perfect, is it? I suppose, but I think they did do a good job. They certainly did the sort of TT justice with it, but I don't know if it's still on there now, or when they're actually streaming it on Netflix or whatever, but I'm sure it'll be somewhere to watch, and it's worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it really annoyingly they actually took it off YouTube. I don't know why, and
I swearing.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere at the moment, but I'm hoping that once maybe they put it out on the Netflix, like Netflix.com, then we'll be able to get it again, because I really enjoyed it myself, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that hasn't watched it yet.
Dominic, do you call yourself like a tree gypsy or something like that? What do you refer to yourself in there? on
Oh,
that.
I refer to myself regularly on the show as like Chrissy's fat pikey mate. So there you go. Something on those lines. But hey, you
Right.
got to be honest. You know, I'm just like I'm literally a younger, fatter version of you, mate. I just want to be honest, and but I'm considerably not as quick as you, so that's the bother.
Well, you can work at that.
And,
I've got to.
I know you spoke earlier about you like getting interviewed on the TT line and like shitting yourself. And
Yeah.
I was actually speaking to one of my friends, Kev, before this interview, and we were just having a bit of chat. And I told him you were coming on the podcast, and he said one thing that stands out for him every year is when you get interviewed on the line, you're so honest about how you're feeling, and you'll just say like, I'm absolutely shitting myself, but like I live for this moment, and I'm just going to go out there and have the best time ever. He just said it makes the hair stand up on the back of his neck, and like you're a good honest interview when you're just about to go down. Obviously it's totally different to short circuit race and everything. I've been at the TT and watched that sort of parade, and obviously all the media around and stuff. It must be a really surreal like couple of minutes when you know what you're about to do, but it's like the calm before the storm, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a real mad atmosphere. And I think I kind of I've got a bit. Not, I don't know if you ever get used to it, but I don't think the poker face is going to do you any good there. You just got to speak. I don't know. I just say what I think, and if I would never sit there and say I'm going to win this, or this and how confident I am, because I think you'd be a bit of a fool to sit at the start of a TT and say something like that. But it's funny, and I kind of it's just that whole walk up, from when you leave the camper, you get your leathers on, that walk up to the start line, then you're waiting around, then the bing bong, and there's a 10-minute delay or something, and you've timed everything, you've timed your last piss and your drinks and everything, to try and be ready, and then so it's kind of, but it just all adds to it, when they delay, and it's I don't know, but it's the second that flag drops and you start racing, and then you are in your element, that's when it sort of the hit really kicks in and you're sort of living.
So, right, from like what I would personally like to do, I would love to go down the road at number one, but like if Paul Phillips is listening to this, which he won't be, but if he is, if he's looking for a seeded number for us, I'll definitely take that spot. But what was that like going down number one? Total, it was totally to yourself for 10 seconds. You know what I mean? No one else is on that track but you. It was just
it was a big like an honor, really. It was a true honor to like to race the TT is cool enough, and then to ride with number one was like, wow. And that year 13 was a big turning point for me when we were sort of thereabouts with the times, but lap times, but when McGuinness come past, everything sort of fell into place, and that was when I sort of like I turned from a boy into a man that day. It really sort of
and he is a fat
forward.
No, I know he doesn't listen to this, so I can say that he's my hero.
So it was for me, that was the big turning year to run number one, and it's quite cool. In fact, my son actually has a like a canvas print that I got years ago from it, and I've put it up in his wall. I still look at it now, and it's pretty. I've got that forever. It's sort of like certainly something not everyone can say they've done. So, but once the race starts and you get stuck in, it's apart from the odd rabbit and pheasant here and there, it's no different to any other start number, really.
I'm just laughing because you probably haven't listened to it, but earlier on in the series of podcasts, just around the TT time, we did a podcast, and Dom was talking about this peacock that he's seen go. Where was it on the track?
Look, Greba Castle. When you're going in, past the Highlander, you've tipped in, right? I swear me, like the big wall on the left, right on the apex was this peacock, right? It was bigger than me, smoking a tab, looking at us right on the mate. I nearly killed a peacock with my left knee. And no one believes us. They had the yellow, like I came out with a brow, when you come up, tip in, back a gear, and I'm eyeing up a yellow flag gun. Who's come off? And then there's this peacock there, swear me life, no one believes us. And I can tell by your laughter, you don't believe us either.
I'm laughing because when I'm not disbelieve in you about the peacock, but it's just that split second of there is absolutely nothing you can do, is there, when there's something in the road like that? It's just and then a big sigh when you get past whatever it is. I've not seen peacocks, but I've seen the rabbits and pheasants, and that's about it, really. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, speaking of the start numbers, I've always wondered about how the top 20 are actually seeded, and like whether it's a conversation between the top riders of where they want to start. Like when you were number one, were you given that, or were you asked if you would like to take it, or like how does the whole start numbers work?
Well, it's funny, really, because I feel a bit sorry for the team that organised the start number thing, because a lot of riders sort of a bit bitchy and don't want to be near there, or who would starting in front or behind it, so and so. So I'm not going to name names, but
go on. Like I say, no one listens to this. You can tell us. Go on, tell us. The next question is who's Seeley's teammate at the Northwest, but we'll get down to that. Don't you worry. Anyway, go on, answer this comment.
One. So I ain't fussed really where I start, because once that flag drops, I always say, like, I want safe people around. I don't want to be riding around anyone who, in my opinion, might be a little bit loose. But
there goes my theory. There goes my theory. I thought you could ask, can I go in front of you, so when you pass us, I could tag along till I see the nearest peacock. You know what I mean? Have a chat with Phillips and just see if you can go at like number.
Well, maybe we'll go for a lap in practice if we go off together. And then,
you'll get bored, young'un. I'll give it a go, but you'll get bored.
So yeah, the start number thing kind of. I think you get offered, really. Some years I haven't been offered, and then I just see the start list comes out and I think, oh, okay, I'll start there. But I know you get your usuals like Hutchie's 4, Dunlop 6, Gary's, Johnson's nearly always number 7, Hickey's 10, isn't he, I think, and Dean bumped up a bit this year. So people move around a bit here and there, but for me, I think top 5. The other thing is if you start thinking tactically and speaking tactically a little bit, is everyone takes their timers off near on the same sort of time. But if you're going off number 2, and then whoever's in number 8 or after, then their warmers have been off for nearly a minute. So tire temperature can drop quicker. And
I was seeded number 20, so imagine how I felt. It was like Bambi on ice.
and you got that bit longer, to be worrying and overthinking stuff. So I guess the lower the number, the quicker you're away and into the race sort of mode.
And again, speaking of earlier podcasts as well, we had Zoe Byrne from the UK Club Sport magazine on like quite a while ago, and we got on talking about you for some reason, and we launched. She made this idea of like Hillier watch, because basically nobody really knows, but like you sort of keep a low profile away from the TT in the Northwest, and then. Yeah. People don't see you, and then you just turn up and you're on the podium, and then we don't see you for another year. So it started this Hillier watch, and it's actually developed into a proper thing in the magazine. They've got like a section on Hillier watch. So if anyone gets a selfie with you or anything, they post it in the magazine, and they get a picture in there. So on that topic, like obviously 52 weeks of the year, how do you fill your time in between the racing?
Well, I've got a wife and 3 kids, and that's pretty full on, to be honest. Keeping them, trying to do my fair share of parenting. That's quite full on. But in the week, Monday to Friday, I do something I sort of never really wanted to do, which is an office job at the moment. In that it's an online motorcycle parts shop, basically selling motorcycles, mainly trying to focus more on the track stuff at the moment, but various products from Krieger luggage systems and so on, but all on a web store for mail order UK stuff, really, and Amazon and eBay. But I will say, if you are ever looking and buying, or I will say, if you can avoid it, don't use eBay and Amazon, because they are killing the market. Absolutely, I would get that point in there. Try and shop local, whatever you're buying. But so, and the logic behind that is to try and build up a bit of a business and an income away from the racing. So when I'm too old and slow for TT and so on. I've got a bit of a job in the motorcycle industry. That's my passion is motorcycling, and I have a lot of experience. So I want to share that and continue that in through selling stuff I can recommend and use my experience and knowledge on what I've learned, to advise other people to buy the right stuff. So yeah, Monday to Friday, that's spent there really. It's this, and I'll just drop it in. It's your www.yourmotobike.co.uk.
And if you mention Chasing the Racing podcast, you get a 90% discount. Flat out, 90%. 90%.
9. I could do 9%.
We'll hold you to that. We'll hold you to that. There you are. We'll put that out there.
Absolutely. All right.
There
I can go with that 9%. Yeah.
We've actually got Vehicle Dome as a sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Have you really?
We have, yes. And would you like to sort of expand on that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I met the kind of founder of Vehicle Dome, a guy called Mark, at an open day I was doing down at GT Motorcycles in Plymouth, and we got chatting, and one thing led to another, and we got involved somewhat together, and in the sort of working and building the business, combining sort of efforts really. But it's a bike storage system, a bubble that's a constant 12-volt fan that drives air into a dome, a concealed dome that just prevents your bike from getting damp or any moisture issues. It's a filtered airflow system that prevents corrosion. Basically, it's a bit of science behind it, but it's pretty basic, and it definitely works. I've stood at shows and you telling people about it, and you can tell they don't believe you, but I've seen it with my eyes. It works, and we've had many customers come back and speak highly of it. So yeah, that's another little thing going on. It's just trying to be half sensible, really. People think us TT racers just lunatics that don't really do too much behind the scenes, but I'm trying to keep my fingers in a few pies and just plan ahead a little bit, just get a few foundations down here and there for future.
And that's the way to do it. Obviously, Vehicle Dome also do cars as well. You're not just a bike man. You do does vehicle car domes as well. So if there's any rich ponces out there that want to protect their Ferraris, give James Hillier a ring or get his website, yourmoto.com. I should be his agent. I should be his agent, Chrissy.
And as well as that, obviously, I was on your website years ago, and it had a section on sort of like what you provide as a service, and it was talking about you like doing the rides for Kawasaki and the sort of when they're shooting new bikes, you being the sort of model rider. Do you do much of that these days?
Yes. I did 3 this year actually. So that all started in 2012. They needed a sort of TT rider who had knowledge of the TT. They were doing the 636 video on the Isle of Man course, and I sort of got my foot in the door then, really, and they keep asking me. I must be doing something right, but it's only ones really with like a black visor, or if I'm not facing the camera, because I don't think I've got the face for video film. But it's I'm all right with the riding on when my face is hidden. They're happy with that. So, but if they're happy, I'm happy, and they keep giving me the work. So that's quite good fun actually. This year we were Germany, Croatia, and they do a lot in Spain in the mountain roads, riding new models for the video and also photos for their brochures and things. So it's quite interesting to see the logic and the kind of marketing behind their theories and creating these videos. People just see like videos online and then bikes in showrooms, but these manufacturers do a lot behind the scenes to kind of how they want their products to be seen and understood. It's quite interesting.
And also, as well as that, my dad and a couple of my mechanic and a couple of my sponsors were out in Almeria, I think last year, and you were there as a rider coach. Are you doing much coaching these days?
Yes, well, not too much. I'm going to try and get on it again next year. This year now, isn't it? Yeah, this year. So I'm going to try and push on with that a bit again this year, and that's it's actually quite satisfying. When you get a good kind of client and they listen, and you bring them on, you see them, their whole riding style change, and they start, getting their knee down. That's it's weirdly exciting. Watching and teaching someone to do that for the first time is quite a big landmark, I think, for some riders. They never think they can do it, but it's actually, if you bring it across in the right way and teach them correctly, it's quite a simple thing to get someone to do. So rider instructing and coaching is something I'm going to work on a bit more and try and build a little bit of a portfolio there with that. So anyone interested can certainly have a look up online for that.
Obviously, you've taught Chrissy's dad, so the fact, the only question that remains is Chrissy's dad better than Chrissy? He's much better crack than Chrissy, let's face it. You know what I mean? Go on, answer it. Go on.
No, was he on an old Fireblade? Was that right?
Yeah, well, it's a CBR. I don't think you were.
Or 600.
I think you were coaching Lynn, one of my sponsors, it was her first ever track day.
She was on the 650. Was it a 650 Honda or something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember vividly. She decked the peg and but she stayed on. It was I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Yeah, that was impressive. She was that was like Marquez levels of saves, I think. I don't know if it was the foot peg or the side stand hit the deck round the long left, like turn 3 at Almeria, and that was funny. Yeah, I don't think she found it very funny, but she stayed on.
You'll have made her day. She's an avid listener to the podcast, so
right.
I'm sure she'll be pleased. Well, then, just before we'll wrap up, I've got a few sort of more like quick fire questions.
Okay.
So the first, there's a few from me and Dom, and then also we've run a Patreon site, and a few of our patrons have got questions. So first one from me is across your career, obviously you've had some amazing results. You win at the Northwest 200 this year was phenomenal. What's been your standout moment? If you could relive one moment of your racing career so far, what would it be?
Probably 2015. I finished second in the senior TT, and McGuinness cleared up and just handed it to us all. And Hutchie, I don't know if you read it. He had an exhaust problem. Something happened to his bike anyway. I just pipped him at the end for second, and that. And I'd done 132. That was the fastest. I did my fastest ever lap. That was probably my most satisfying sort of result, I guess. It wasn't a win, but it was pretty incredible to stand, there with John and Hutchie on the podium. That was a special one for me.
My next question is from Lauren Atkin. Is that Oh, yeah, I'm going to get my arse handed to us by Lauren here. Anyway, her question is, what was the Kawasaki H2R like to ride around the TT course?
Oh, God.
Being a Kawasaki test pilot, be careful.
I still cannot describe quite what that motorcycle sort of did to me. That was phenomenal. That was really mind-blowingly. That was 2015, actually. I think I rode my superbike faster. When you ride like a fast bike, and then you get back on a 600, and the 600 feels so slow. Well, that H2 was so fast. When I got back to my superbike, it felt kind of slow.
Like 600.
So, yeah. So it kind of helped me. It just gave me a bit of a better boost. I think when I got back on the superbike for that final race of the week, it kind of definitely gave me a little edge. But it's so fast, that bike. I think that's close to the limit of what the human brain can kind of take in and process. It was ridiculously fast.
All right, that leads me on to my question then. What would your dream bike to be around the TT? What would your outright? Doesn't matter if it's a fizzy. I don't care. What's your dream bike?
That's a good question. I think I'd like to. I reckon an RC45 would be a nice. I had to go on one around Donington Park, and it was really, really nice. So I'd say, and also nostalgia. They're quite an iconic bike around the island, aren't they? I think in the old Honda Britain colours, a Honda RC45.
Do you reckon they'll let them in at the Classic TT eventually?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a handful of people waiting to run one there, but then it starts getting a bit silly because they're going to be so fast around there. Then it's kind of I don't know. It'd be nice. I think I don't know.
We'll get
I
you
don't
on
know.
one anyway, so there we go. It'll be a
Well,
nice tick in the box.
It would, yeah. Maybe I should look at it like that. Yeah. They should do them. They should definitely let them run. And,
There we are.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Brian Carson saying, "What's it like riding the Erzberg Rodeo? It looks like the total grueling race from hell, but kind of fun at the same time. Is it the most physically demanding event you've participated in?" And then he's wished you all the best for 2020.
Right. Thanks. What's his name? Brian, did you say?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It was mentally and the whole journey was mentally draining because I literally left TT, went home, unpacked motorhome, repacked the motorhome, and then drove to Austria by myself, and attempted Erzberg Rodeo, which is one of the hardest, sort of the mother of hard enduro, they say, and on a motocross bike, which was a complete error. You need to be on an electric start enduro 2-stroke really. So, but that was I ticked it off, and they it keeps clashing now with TT, so I haven't got to do it again. But I'll definitely be back to try again, and would recommend it. It'd be a good stag do, that Erzberg. It's a bit of a party weekend, and with some motorbike racing in the middle of it. So, and I'm off tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to do the Valleys Extreme Enduro for a bit more of enduro. Hard enduro is a funny one because it's so unenjoyable. It kind of is enjoyable, if that makes sense. It's 3 hours of hell, but weirdly satisfying. So I like a bit of self punishment on an enduro bike.
Brilliant. Go on.
Hold on. What? Hold on. We're just
We've
scrolling.
got another question here from Sniffing Skid Marks, and it's regarding nicknames, and it says something about the Devonshire GT. You love being referred to as Big Jim. Do you have any nicknames that you'd rather forget or prefer? Is Big? I've not heard that one before. Is Big Jim a nickname that you go by, or do you have any other nicknames?
Big Bad Jim.
Big Bad Jim. Only in the bedroom sometimes with the wife. She might.
Three kids to prove it. There you are.
No, I've not been called Big Jim before. Jimbo.
Yes.
Jimbo.
Right.
Jimbo is about as far as I go with nicknames.
Oh, there we go. Speaking of Big Jim, do you reckon Davo's going to be a dick? Is he doing it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say he's going to be a dick. I think it's going to be. It's going to be quite enlightening. I think even if we have a not so good day, then Davo, I'm sure, will lighten up the atmosphere a little bit with his and there'll always be someone that's keen to go for a beer. That's the other thing. I don't think Davo takes much convincing to go and sink a few. What are they saying? Sink a. Anyway, so it's going to be interesting. I've not really done TT with a teammate probably before, so. It's a few new things again that way, but for sure it's an advantage going with two bikes because we get twice the amount of data, to work from, and if I get an issue, then we can eliminate that from happening in his bike, and vice versa. So we can kind of speed things up a little bit with a testing program, which I think is going to be vital for us as we're up against it a little bit. We've got no data from TT to go by, so we've got to learn quick.
Sorry, just obviously talking about Davo for a split second there. Now, obviously he rode for Norton. Did you ride for Norton for a little bit as well, or did I make that up? Because I saw it at a press launch. It was a photo, like the press launch photos.
Yeah.
I swear you were sitting on a Norton.
No, wasn't me. I no.
Someone called Big Jim or something like that. You know what I mean? Obviously.
I tell you, we actually had Dave on the podcast not long ago, and I think these sort of long formats where you can sort of really get into like you said, like a TV interview straight after a race or just before your race. It's difficult to sort of find the like really get into like some subjects, but this sort of long format allows you to sort of expand and like we'll sort of learn things that like I never knew about Davo, and obviously he's a cracking lad, and I'm sure together you'll make a real good team, like with all the experience and stuff you've got.
I hope so. Yeah, I think just quickly, it's for me the TT and the whole motorbike thing is about kind of enjoying it, and Davo's nearly always got a smile on his face. So I don't think I think it should be a good vibe in the team, and that'll help us and certainly bring the results. Happy riders are fast riders. So.
That's it. And I tell you what, we'll just finish on this one. We've had a message from a guy called Keith Fletcher, and he's asked he's asked us to talk through that moment at Balagary a few years ago, and how did that affect the rest of your race? And then it's like all the best for 2020. So obviously everyone will have seen this moment many times, and like huge moment. Was that a total one-off, or have you had a few of those? Or
no, I mean, no, that was a one-off, and and it's one of them moments where I immediately try to erase it from my brain to a degree. I think if you have any moment like that, it's very important to learn from it so you don't make that mistake again. But it was lap one of a senior race, and we had an issue. It was an issue with the rear shock. So basically, it lost all of its damping, and that was the first kind of sign I got from it was that, and I knew as it was happening. I knew straight away there was an issue because a few circumstances that lap one is you're going fast, but you're not balls to the wall. Number two is that corner is one you do not mess with because it's so unforgiving and so fast and so scary. So as it was happening, I was a little bit confused, like what the hell has like made the bike do this? It's never done anything like this before. And not trying to sound brave, but as soon as I kind of got through it, the first thing I thought was I've got to go because I was 3, Hutchie was 4, and the Superbike race that year, it was me and Hutchie were dicing for the win, and so that was like I didn't want him to catch a glimpse of me and reel me in. I really wanted to stay ahead, so I kind of got going again, and it over Crosby jump, the next rise, the next crest, it did something similar, and I was like, well, I'm done. There's definitely something amiss, and I kind of I think we were riding around 10th, 11th position, and then later on there was a red flag, and we changed the shock.
That's when Hutchie ploughed into the mountain, isn't it?
That was it. Yeah.
Right.
So they stopped the race, changed the shock, and then lap one of the restart, I was as fast as I've ever been around that corner again because I knew that what the problem was. I could kind of put closure to it and then carry on as I was, because I think that's in any kind of instance in the motorcycle racing or anything in life. If you know why something went wrong, you can kind of put it to bed and move on.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, we've been speaking for ages now, so I will wrap the interview up. Thanks so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. All the best for 2020, and
you, and both of you, actually, yeah.
For people who are listening, where's the best way? Like, have you got a website, Twitter, Instagram, all that malarkey? What's your tag?
It's Jimbo. I think it's Jimbo or James Hillier. I don't actually know. Something James Hillier 37 or Jimbo Hillier 37 on the social medias, and my sales website is yourmotobike.co.uk if you're buying anything for your bike. And if you can't see it on the website, then just phone me up. I'll be at the office anyway, unless it's in the first week of June. I'll be on the Isle of Man. My man Matt will be at the office, so but have a look.
So all you James Hillier fans, if you want to have a chat with James Hillier, buy something. That is a simple. How many rock stars are? I don't see Hutchie doing that. Do you, Chrissy? No. If you want to speak to James Hillier, pick up the phone at your and you get to chat to him. There you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and obviously a 9% discount for chasing the race.
Oh well, yeah, we need to sort that out. Yeah, we need to get that sorted out. So let me know on that how we do it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, and all the best with everything.
Thank you.
We'll catch you in the new year. Cheers, James.
Take care. Speak soon. Bye bye.
So a very genuine interview there with the lovely James Hillier.
He's properly off the cuff, isn't he? He literally, the expression you wear your heart on your sleeve. Mm-hmm. That's very much James Hillier. Now, don't get me wrong, where all the guests we've had are proper salt of the earth. That's what this sport produces, genuine people. But like with James, he's not scared to say there and gone, I'm generally shitting myself, and that very much comes across in the interview. Everyone says they're nervous, but they almost shrug it off with a confident attitude. But like James is like, look here, I'm shitting myself, I'm gonna go down there and get on the podium. It's like, fair enough, son. And he always delivers on what he's got. And obviously that was like an hour long interview with 50 odd minutes, and you just think that I feel like we didn't ask enough. Mm-hmm. What about you? You just think, people don't want to sit there for 6 hours going, this is my life,
There's always so many things you can ask, but I really like him. You know, I think these podcasts provide a great platform where you can really get into depth of like proper questions and have a real good conversation about like how he got into race and stuff, which maybe which you would never find out over just like a quick TV interview or something. And you can tell he's a cracking bloke. He's got his head switched on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does this year with the OMG squad on the new BMW. Obviously joining Davo Johnson there. To me,
they'll bounce off you beautifully.
But they're about the same level, I would say, give or take. There's not much between them. So, I mean...
I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
For instance, TT Senior, who would you pick between them two? It's very, very difficult,
isn't it? On any given day, that situation, isn't it? And that's what makes a team... It's definitely going to work well because they're both... Like, before you have this interview anyway, and you hadn't seen religion or sports, you don't really get a grasp of what James Hillier, he borderline takes it. He looks bloody miserable, let's face it, when he's on the TT grid. But there, with Davo's attitude and his attitude, they're both lovable, likeable characters, and I think they're just going to bounce off each other, and they both want to get up there. But don't get me wrong, when they're both on the grid, they'll want to beat each other, and that's what makes a good team. So, hey, the only way is up, baby.
Like I said, it's a difficult one to call, and they both come from other manufacturers. Obviously, Davo has been on the BMW before. James has been on the Kawasaki for such a long time, Like, for instance, this year, nobody could call Glenn Irwin's, poor performance on the Kawasaki. Sometimes it just riders don't click with certain manufacturers. So
but after speaking to a couple of people, though, everyone says, like, that new BM is, like, the best of both worlds. But like you saying that, you've actually hit the nail on the head. He's been on a Kawasaki ZX-10 for 10 years. The plot thickens. I've just clicked on after an hour interview what you're really meaning. So, no, it will be really good. But he's a professional rider. He knows the course. He's going to make the bike work.
Yeah.
He'll have to because he wants to win.
Yeah, absolutely looking forward to it. Now, few bits of tidying things up. We've just joined Instagram, the world of Instagram. Obviously, me and you, both of us have got our private accounts, but we've set up a Chasing the Racing Instagram account, so we'll post, obviously when we do podcasts, we'll post things on there, and we'll do a little bit behind the scenes on our story and
bit
stuff.
More timeline shite.
Yeah, so if you're on Instagram and you want to follow along, it's at Motorbike Pod, so the same as Twitter, at Motorbike Pod on Instagram. Another thing is, this podcast and the last one haven't actually been on YouTube, but I've actually just invested in a new, it's a Canon, like a fancy camera, video camera. So we're going to get that, we're going to trial it out, and if it's what we want, we're going to buy a couple of them, and we're going to start sort of improving the quality of the YouTube videos. So I have a few different angles, and it'll be much easier to watch than just the single view. And that's with a view to looking to get a proper studio setups with like a professional setup, so that we can sit down with guests that are with us at the time, and we can do much better interviews. So that's kind of what we've got in the pipeline. And another really cool thing is we've just had a website made, and I've got to say a huge thank you to Flash from
TT Cases.
He spent hours and hours making this website for us, and I'm actually going to launch that when I put this podcast out. So as soon as you can hear this podcast, I'm hoping that the website should be out there. www.chasingtheracing.com. So chasingtheracing.com.
Also, it's very much worth a mention that they are the only people that can advertise the TT logo and cases. They can. What can they do?
I don't think I've launched this yet.
Right, well, I won't keep my mouth shut. I'll keep my mouth shut. But obviously, their website is really worth a visit, because obviously they've got some exciting products coming out that I was about to spit out my own face there. But obviously, it's very much a website that you want to keep an eye on. Please give it a visit. Flash is an absolute psychopath, as well as Ed, both genuine, proper lovely lads.
Yeah. So check out the new website and let us know what you think, whether it's
and
Twitter,
if you think it's
email,
shite,
whatever.
walk on sunshine. So, but anyway, we're going to talk about the future 2020, and this brings on to our next guest, and obviously UK Club Sports owner and editor, Zoe Byrne.
Over to Zoe. So we're joined by the lovely Zoe Byrne, our club racing correspondent for the podcast. How are you doing, Zoe?
Oh, I'm not so good tonight. I've got a bit of a cold, but it's just a cold. None of this man flu stuff that you lot will probably get. It's just a cold.
I was about to say, you lot can't hack it. It's man flu for a reason, dear. It's man flu for a reason.
I don't know. You wouldn't know, Dom, to be fair. Honestly.
Well, that was
No,
our
I'm
interview with
fine.
Zoe there. Thank you. It's been great to have you on.
So
Anyway.
obviously the season, I mean, beginning of the year, January, we've still got a few months to go, but the season's going to be kicking off sometime soon. And what's the opening calendar looking like for the main club races?
Well, it's funny because we'll have like this blank space and then March arrives and it's boom, we're off. March the 7th, which is also my dad's birthday. If you're listening, Dad, I'll not forget this year. March the 7th, Bemsey kick off at Brands Hatch, which is always an interesting one. First round of any club race, and obviously it's Bemsey, so that's quite a big one. And then there's sort of 2 weeks, and then No Limits kick off at Snetterton, and Wirral are off at Anglesey, and then after that, Thundersport. So it all sort of March we're in. So there's
And
not long. There really isn't long at all, to be fair.
For anyone listening who's thinking of doing the Bempsey meeting at Brands Hatch, my biggest advice to you is watch out for Graham Hill Bend. Cold March. It's an easy mistake to make. You see loads of crashes there, and
That sounds like experience, Chrissy. Have you done that
It does,
yourself?
doesn't it?
I think everyone in British racing's crashed at Graham Hill Bend on a cold tyre, I think. But yeah, and obviously, people are changing championships, new championships. Have you got your eye on anyone in particular? Any championships that you feel are going to be interesting or exciting to watch this year?
Well, it's difficult because we don't really know who's coming where. And as usual, the championships that we need to be watching, obviously, are the junior championships. But again, we don't know who those guys are going to be until they appear because we'll be getting some coming in from mini bikes and things. But we don't know who the rest are. But then the 1000cc's this year is looking a little bit strange because we've lost all of the big bike champions. Basically, every guy who was up at the front in any of the clubs has left this year. So that's a whole era is changed. So we're going to have a complete new set of big bike runners and winners. So that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's a cool opportunity for a lot of, especially the sort of lads or ladies that are stepping up from the 600 and like those, the people that are getting competitive on the big bikes. It's almost like a new era, like a new opportunity for a lot of people. And
really is. It really is. And I think like in NG, Josh Day's gone, for example. He's off. He's going to do his Ducatis again, defend his title there. But he was ready to finish with the clubs anyway. He couldn't keep doing it. But a lot of people have always been, Josh Day wins, so there's no point in even going and trying. Well, Josh Day's not there anymore, guys, so just go for it. Everybody can go for it there now. It's wide open, so that'll be really nice. Thundersport, Lee Williams, I believe, is off to join you guys, Chrissy, in Stock 1000.
Cool, yeah.
He's 3 times Thundersport GP1 champion. And Luke Hopkins, who was runner-up to him and also runner-up to John Ingram at No Limits this year, after just one season on the 1000cc, he's coming to join you guys. And I do think by the end of the season, you'll be like, who is this kid? And why is he troubling us at the front? Because I really quite rate Luke Hopkins.
Is that your tip for 2020?
I think Luke Hopkins could be our 2020 Scott Ogden, to be fair. I picked that one right.
Because the last time you were on the podcast, it was the beginning of that season, wasn't it? And that was a fantastic call. Obviously, went on amazing season for Scott, and he's off to, is it Red Bull Rookies and CV next year? Yeah,
he is. Yes, that's been his focus. That was always going to be his focus. And he's still just 15, so he's young enough to have a good crack at that. So it's our loss here in Britain, but I'm sure if it doesn't work out, he'll be back, and he's going to be fast whatever he does, that kid. So
it's Luke Hopkins. That's the lad with HM.
Yes,
livery. HM livery. Is his dad something like owner of HM Quick Fitters or something?
Yes, I believe he's the owner. I should know this because I've actually written it and I checked it the last time I wrote it. But I think he said something like, "Oh, my dad runs it," so it's like, well, I assume he's the owner. But yeah, it's their company. So
yeah, cool. Because I've seen him at quite a few. I've raced against him a few times at when I've been doing the No Limits races for a bit of practice, and he must be one of the busiest riders in probably Britain. Everywhere I go, track day, whatever, he's always there. He's for the No Limits. He races his 600 and his 1,000. He's been doing BSB wildcards, so. And I believe he's getting quite a lot of track time in over the winter as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses throughout the season next year. What about yourself and Aaron over the winter? Like anything exciting happening with the magazine? Have you got any cool articles coming up, or any teasers for our listeners?
Oh, we've got all sorts. We're 5 days away from the next deadline, so this is the time. This is the time when you don't want a cold. And this is the time where where it all comes together. And to be fair, this is the time where we've left it all at the last minute because we work better at the last minute. So it's a panicked 5 days. But yeah, we've got an interview with James Hind actually in this first edition for the year, who I don't know if you followed him. I mean, Dom's probably more sort of familiar with James Hind because he's sort of come of age on the roads and the short circuits this year.
Do you know what? So we've had all kinds of guests obviously on this show this year. We've had Hickman. We've had all the guests that we've had. We've only actually been pied off one person in the whole racing fraternity.
Never.
And that was our lovely James Hines. He couldn't make our interview, so we'll have to get him. I'm telling you. But yeah, I look forward to read that because obviously, a big prospect for road racing.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's just an ordinary lad as well. He's just great, yeah. So I hope you get hold of him. He's really good. So got an interview with him. I'm doing a piece on marshals because there's a bit of an alarming shortage of marshals, particularly in the northeastern Scottish sort of club scenes at the moment. And it's countrywide as well, so we're doing a bit of a call for that. We're chatting to some TT marshals. I've been learning all about Marshall on the Mountain Mile today, which sounds it's hard going, but they've got a nice band up there. So we're just trying to get more people to sign up to be TT and Manx marshals and things going forward. So got that. We've got a few new columnists that we're going to be introducing as well in the coming weeks for the next year's magazine. So, it's all happening really.
Fantastic, excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll have you back on sometime soon for another club racing update. And just all the best with everything, and we'll catch up with you soon, Zoe.
Thank you. I'll see you both soon. Take care.
It's been emotional.
Oh, it always is. Away with you now. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Goodbye. Bye.
Cheers.
So a little club racing update from our club racing correspondent Zoe Byrne. And if you still haven't checked out their magazine, the UK Club Sport magazine, if you're into club racing and you want to keep your finger on the pulse, I think it's only a couple of quid a month, and it's a really interesting magazine. Got loads of crack, different like articles each week. And I've heard there's
and if you're feeling kinky mind, it's a good magazine to roll up nice and tight. It's almost got a leathery feel to it, like nice roll on it and just nice cross bare ass like that, Chris. Just get on, Babby. So UK Club Sport, for the kinky people out there, it's the one for you at a low price for a lot of love.
It's a shame we aren't.
You're welcome, Zoe. Yes, I'm ruining your magazine. But no, before you quickly move on, it's definitely interesting that there's going to be a lot more club champions. If people are moving on, and you've got to progress through sport, and club racing is very much the scene to build new champions. So put it this way, there's going to be a lot of hammerheads out there who want to win a championship, and it's some people almost scrub it off to being shite. It's definitely worth a watch because, who doesn't? It's like watching amateur boxing. Yeah, I'd rather go watch an amateur boxing fight, watch a couple of Rajis flail at each other, than go and watch it like Joshua beat up a Mexican. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, you've bought some very nice headphones there, customer. Oh, Chrissy there.
Thank you very
very
much.
Nice. Yeah,
it's Christmas present.
Oh, right. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Christmas present.
You look like a younger
White Joshua.
Very, very much do. So there we go. But no, obviously, thank you very much, Zoe, coming on the show. Thank you to James for coming on the show. Thank you for Chrissy Rouse. Who doesn't love Chrissy Rouse? Thank you, Chrissy.
Just before we wrap up, a big thanks to everyone that's leaving good positive reviews. We're up to about 210, I think, now on iTunes, and I mean, like, every platform's got its own review, so we appreciate them, whether it's Facebook, wherever you're leaving them. But we're doing really well there on the iTunes ones,
especially our patrons. Thank you so much, and obviously more the merrier, because like Chrissy said earlier on, obviously buying these cameras, want to like put the money into the studio, and what you see is what you get, and you can only move forward with the money. So what everyone's doing on Patreon, all our sponsors, thank you so much. You know, that let's keep building, people. Let's keep building.
Really appreciate it. And with that, big thanks to the sponsors for this show. So we've got
Tango Training. Hey, what happened to your theme song? Oh, fuck yeah, sod your jingles, mate. That's so 2019. So 2019.
KRG Motorcycles, County Durham,
Gowland,
and Vehicle Dome, which is if you've got a nice bike or a nice car and you want to protect it, check out Vehicle Dome.
I'll put anything in it. Anything in it. Or obviously James Hillier's direct is yourmoto.com or .co. Try the both of them. Obviously, it's great to have James on, but it's very much worth keeping a hungry, ambitious man in business.
That's it.
So don't buy a shite off eBay. Buy it off that website.
We'll speak to James and we'll try and sort out some discount. You know, we mentioned the 9% discount, but
9%.
We'll see if we'll see if we can sort a sponsorship deal out where he maybe sponsors the next podcast, and we'll do some sort of like limited time chasing the race and discount. So we'll do our best to try and sort that out. So yep, and I think that's over and out. Starting the new year, obviously.
I've already been back to work. How about you, Chrissy?
Not yet.
Right, it's like that. I see how it is.
Not yet. Monday the 6th.
But obviously, we've got like you were saying, we've got a bit of a road show about to happen. You know, we're going to try and go down, improve the quality and everything. So
loads of exciting crack coming up. Have you got any New Year's resolutions for 2020?
Beat you. And the only chance I'm going to beat you is bloody by this weight loss challenge, honestly.
Yeah, that's the first one. So I tell you what, we'll call it a day.
We've got loads to talk about in the next one. Absolutely loads. So we'll get on the next one there. So.
Excellent. So thanks for listening, and we'll tune back in next week for episode 36.
Sugar Puffs.